Welcome to Who You Were with Patrick Noth and Sebastian Canelli. In each episode, we ask our guests to talk about a time in their life when they were significantly different. Episode 1, Matt Rogers.
We're really bad at this.
Don't worry, because everyone has to start somewhere. Bowen and I, when we started our pod, it was literally just us like, all right, I guess here we go. Let's hope people think this is interesting.
And now it's the number one
People like it.
podcast.
I know. People like it. It's got a ways to go, but now that they tell us how many people are listening, we're like, what?
How many people?
Our first week our new episodes for the first week average about 14,000.
That's amazing.
And then
That's amazing.
About 100,000 people listen per month to like unique listens,
Wow.
which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
But we've been doing it for over 2 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right, like it didn't start out like that.
Yeah. And it was very like the Forever Dog guys that produce us. We were their first podcast. I mean, that's the thing is like, it was very word of mouth.
Yes, and now Betsy and Dara have one.
Betsy and Dara.
Yeah, I heard that ad leading into yours.
Yes.
Yeah.
I heard it too, and I was really excited about that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because that's
absolutely.
another cool thing. Like, do you guys have a production, like a network or something?
No.
Okay,
No.
cool. Well, then maybe you'll be making it for a few episodes, and then someone will come along.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like we have to leave some of that banter in as we start this episode.
Oh,
We're
yeah,
gonna go into
absolutely. That was
episode.
good stuff.
Are we recording?
Yeah, we're recording.
We sure
We've
are.
been recording for a
Oh my
little
God,
bit.
this is it.
Always act as if something's recording you,
Okay.
especially in this new era.
In this
I
new
know.
era.
I know.
In this
It's
new
scary.
era, which could mean anything.
I know. In this new
Yeah,
era.
because also something is recording you.
Absolutely.
I know.
Your phone. Hey, listen, that's not what the podcast's about, but if you want to do a Black Mirror podcast, I'm on board.
Yes. Oh.
This is the first episode. It could drastically change with the second.
Have you guys ever been talking about something and then it shows up in your feed?
Yes,
as an
that's because if
advertisement?
you have like the speak to text, like the speak to talk
Right,
text,
right.
it like records all the time. I have a Band-Aid on my computer, so the cam, no one could see me.
So not a piece of tape, just a Band-Aid?
I have a Band-Aid. I should get a piece of tape because it looks like my computer's just sick.
Budget.
Are you
not
chewing
good.
gum?
I'm chewing gum. Yeah, is that not professional?
No, that's unbelievable, Pat.
It's bad?
Yes,
We
as
can
he
always see how
leans
it
in.
works.
That's sort of my thing, though. That's going to be my
Is it your thing?
That's my on-air personality trait.
I kind of love it.
My thing's gonna be breathing heavy. But the thing is, I don't have a choice, and you do.
That's true. All right, you know what? I can go without nicotine gum for an hour.
Yeah, dude, you
Oh,
got
man.
coffee in your hand, nicotine gum.
Whenever I
Come
see
on,
Pat,
dude.
I'm always like, "Ooh, give me a piece of gum." And he's like, "No, you don't want this gum."
Yeah, it's good. Have you ever had nicotine gum?
No, but he won't allow me to chew it because even if I just want something to chew, because I'm never chewing gum for the flavor. I'm chewing gums to be occupying my mouth.
Yes, it keeps them. Oh, ooh,
Yeah.
hello.
But, you know.
Pat is chewing nicotine gum now?
Yeah, no, he's very into it, and also very into keto now.
Yes, I know
so
that.
high fat.
Talk about
no
life
carb.
changes. High fat, no carb, which made no fucking sense to
He's
me.
already skinny.
Well, the thing is, I get what
Oh, he's not.
No, he's actually not. No, but I get what he's saying though, because like, he is skinny, but it's about being like toned and lean.
So he should work out. I
He
mean,
works
this
out
is,
plenty.
Does he?
He's a runner.
Yes, he works out, does a ton of cardio. You know, Pat has told me many times that like it's less important for schlubs like me and you. He's like, you're straight. You don't have to worry about that.
He's got an image to maintain.
Yeah, I mean, I am a couch. I have become the couch I am on.
All right, you.
Oh my
we should
word!
Start, right?
Let's
Yeah,
start.
yeah.
You know what? Let's start.
My name's Patrick Noth.
I'm Sebastian Canelli.
And we're starting this podcast. It's called Who You Were. We're bringing on guests. Who you've been hearing banter with us for a little while is Matt Rogers, who was just giving you some inside information.
Wait, no, don't use that
He's not on it. He doesn't write for it. He just knows inside information.
shit. You really can't use that.
We'll probably
we won't.
we'll probably edit that out, but just so you know, there was some juice.
No, we don't use that.
So yeah, we just bring people on here, comedians on here, and we ask them like who they were like at a specific time in their life. And we also want you, whoever's listening to this, to send us like a before and after picture if there's a time in your life that you feel you were significantly different.
Sure, yeah, like a side by side, so we could see like how ridiculous you used to be and who you are now.
Did you get my picture?
Oh,
yeah, you looked like a preppy boy.
I was a preppy boy. I was in chains.
In chains.
Well, that was when metrosexual was a thing. Remember metrosexual?
Of course, capris, and you would wear white Reebok sneakers,
and also
Diesel.
I was in like the chains of the patriarchy. So it's basically like this is when like
I thought you meant like chain like
no like I was actually no I was of a different subsect of the high school, whereas like they were I don't know, it was very the thing like goths, preps, jocks, all that stuff. I wasn't actually in chains. What I mean was I was chained to the idea.
Right.
Okay.
So when the metrosexual label came out, you were like, fuck yeah.
I was like, that's gonna be me. That's a great way for me to explain myself away.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, totally into women, but like I'm gonna spend an hour on my hair in the morning.
Well, that's great. I mean, that's a great. At least you were able to like express yourself.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess like what shocks me about it is now realizing that it was such a thing.
Yeah.
Like that. Like for example, I always when I talk about like this part of my life, I always reference American Idol because it was always such a huge fucking thing.
Yeah.
But the idea that Clay Aiken was not saying he was gay, and also even Adam Lambert, who was like exclusively gay in every way.
And this isn't that long ago.
No.
Yeah.
2009.
Yeah.
I mean, that's Lambert anyway.
Yeah.
And then 2002 was Clay Aiken. But so you're talking about like Adam Lambert couldn't say he was gay, and then like. Come on. I mean, that's just goes to show how far we've come in such a short period of time.
And so this was you in like junior high school or high school? What?
Yeah. Well, the thing is like, I think this is super interesting. And I actually, when I was coming here, I was like, it's a shame that I don't have something more interesting to offer because I feel like, that's
not true. Fingers already wagging.
Fingers already wagging. But then I told myself.
Listening, fingers are wagging.
Fingers are already wagging. And I feel comfortable doing that.
And he finger wagged instantly back.
Yes, you did. But as I was coming here, I was like, actually, no, because I do have a perspective on it now. Like, of course, like I'm gay. You know, when you guys say, what's the big change you made in your life? Of course, you want to say that's when you came out of the closet. Like, the difference between then and now is crazy. But people sometimes think, I believe, that like you come out of the closet and then it's just this immediate freedom. But what people don't get is that there are so many ways you remain closeted for so many years after that.
Yeah.
And so I feel like my answer to the question of who you were, when did you make the big change in your life, is actually when I started to be more honest about who I really was, like in my comedy and my humor.
Right.
Which really only happened like 2 or 3 years ago, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and I think as a comedian in general, like life is all about discovering that, right?
Yes.
Like finding who you are more and more. And, that's probably, I mean, I can't imagine what it would be like to try to like have to hide that much of yourself.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's the way I described it was towards the end of like being in the closet, and by which I mean actually like in the closet about my sexuality, not telling anyone about it. It feels like waking up with a fever every day. You know what I mean? It's like you're like, oh God, like you can feel this secret like in your body. Like it's kind of nuts. And you're from Long Island,
Staten Island.
But
it's the same.
You know the situation.
Of course.
It's not an easy place. To be different at all.
Yeah.
I know it's literally so close to the city, but it's like it might as well be anywhere in middle America
it
because
feels
it's
very
so
red
far
state.
behind.
In fact, Staten Island did go red.
Yeah, Staten Island's a red state. That's where I'm from. Beautiful, isn't it? I'm from
wonderful.
a beautiful fucking place.
Glorious.
We should do some business just because we want to get context.
Do business.
Yes.
Do business.
Yeah, we gotta do business. See, that's Pat. He's always about the business.
Producer, baby.
I'm all about the
finger
business.
wagging.
Someone's got to be this finger wagging talent over here.
So Matt gave us a before and after pic that you can see on Instagram at Who You Were Podcast. That's our handle on Instagram and on Twitter. And you'll also see Sebastian and I. And we want to just go to this section we call Why and When, where we're just going to like shoot questions at you.
Okay, I love
just
that.
for context before we fully unpack. So first question, where did you live at the time? And is that where you're from originally?
Yeah, Long Island is where I'm from. I grew up in Islip, New York, on the southern part of Long Island. Like it's about halfway between New York City and Montauk. So it's on the weather map.
Okay.
What train stop are we talking off the LIRR?
We are talking we got our own train stop, honey. Iceland.
Really?
Yes, but
Congratulations.
thank you so much.
Yeah.
But frequently you'd have to make a transfer at Babylon.
Ugh.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Very annoying, but also, you know what? At the end of the day, like Babylon is where it's happening in on Long Island. And
My
it's
sister
really-
lives in Massapequa.
There you go.
There you go.
See, you know what's funny about people from Long Island is it's always like, I'll run into someone and they'll say, I'm from Long Island, and I'll say, where? And they'll say the name of a town,
Yeah.
and I'll go, oh, yeah. That's definitely one.
There's no conversation
it's so
to be had.
big. Yeah. It's not like an island in the way where the locals all know everyone.
No.
Yeah, Staten's different, though.
Stan's a little different
Yeah.
because we're a little dirtier.
A little dirtier,
Yeah.
a little bit more familiar.
You guys-
Closer, a little tighter.
Yeah.
You guys just got a bridge very recently.
I know. Isn't that so fucked up? Like, literally, they opened the bridge and it was like, hey, we could go to this place now.
Yeah. Possibilities.
I know. So, how old were you when you were who you were?
Oh gosh, I think it dawned on me that I was like
That you needed.
gay
Yeah.
when I was 11 years old, and so then I stayed closeted until I was 19.
Do you remember that moment?
Oh yeah, I remember the moment. I actually remember the moment that I found out I was gay. I was hanging out in my backyard. I had my friend over from school, and we were playing in my pool. And just like whatever like kids do, being 11 years old,
Sure.
playing in the pool. Then later that night, I was going to bed, and I was like getting ready for bed, and I was like tucking myself in, and I was like, oh man, I love my friend. My friend's great. I love him. Love hanging out with him. Love his back. Love his
Yes.
back. Really want to touch his back.
Yeah.
Would love to like really just put my hands on. Oh my God. Oh no. And I remember looking out the window and my blinds were there and the moon was coming in and it was like prison bars.
Oh, my God.
And no, but that's like very poetic. But
Sure.
I just remember the abject terror.
The back is so funny and interesting because it's not the part
No.
that I think a
It was
man
just
would
about-
be attracted to.
No, it was just about like, oh, there's a primal urge to have physical contact with this thing that I had never felt before. And in that moment, I was like realizing my sexuality for the first time ever. It just so happened that moment also came with the realization that it was same sex.
Yeah.
So that was a pretty tough time, and like I think every day from 11 to 19 I thought about actively the number one thing occupying my mind is like, how do I keep this a secret? When will I eventually tell someone, or will I ever? What will happen to me?
Yeah.
Things
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
So it's really hard. And also I just want to say, like, there's so many ways in which I'm like so super duper privileged. You know what I mean?
Of
Like,
course. Yeah.
Like, just you could have a whole fucking list of ways
Sure.
in which I'm so lucky. But
You walked in with a tote and a nice coffee.
I rocked. Yeah, exactly. I don't have to worry. I have iced coffee every day. I don't have to worry about
You
that.
don't have to worry about iced
I
coffee.
don't have to worry about
Many
iced
people in the
coffee.
world got to worry about that iced
Absolutely.
coffee.
They don't even get an iced coffee. They never even heard of one.
No, it's hot all summer.
Yeah. But then, like, but I do kind of say, like, when you have that one thing that consumes your every thought, it weighs you down in the same way. Like, I still feel like I look back on it and I'm like, man, that was fucking hard.
Secrets.
Yeah.
It's like
Oh,
the
yeah.
weight of the secret
Yeah.
is like.
It's fatiguing. It burns energy.
Yeah. You feel sick.
Can I ask what kind of music you listen to around this time?
This is a weird one because the public perception of what music I liked was different than what I really liked. I mean, so I would tell I remember one time we had to fill out a sheet that said, what's your name? Where are you from? What's your mom's name? What's your dad's name? Do you have any siblings? What's your favorite music? What's your favorite food? What's your favorite color? Things like that, just to get to know you on the first day of school.
Yeah.
But even that, for someone that's gay, is a fucking panic attack. Like, I bet anyone else would just sit down and be like, okay, yeah, my favorite band is Dave Matthews Band, and my favorite color is blue. My mom's name is Tracy. My dad's name is Rick. For me, it's like I spent so much energy thinking of a cool answer to put for my favorite musical artist because I didn't want anyone to know that it was Kelly Clarkson. So I put Limp Bizkit. Limp Bizkit was on all my shit,
God.
y'all.
That is.
Did it all for the Nookie.
Oh my God. And everyone look at the picture of Matt right now and imagine him listening to
Limp Bizkit, or just saying I did, and then it said favorite actress, and I couldn't say, like, you know, Julia Stiles for her amazing monologue and 10 Things I Hate About You. I had to say, like, who's a hot actress I could say?
Yeah.
So I said Tara Reid.
Yeah.
Wow.
And my Spanish teacher at the time, Miss Ford, Senorita Ford, asked, who is Tara Reid? And I said, oh, she's this hot actress I know from a website.
It's brutal because Julia Stiles is hot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was just the context of the movie.
Yeah. But even then, exactly. And like you think about all that shit. Like it's all this like emotional energy you spend thinking about so much extra stuff.
You're like micromanaging all the details around your life.
Always. And so forget about like learning how to be yourself or learning how to grow up and be yourself. And I think that's why so many gay men have trouble in their 20s. Because like I said, saying that you're gay at a certain age, like that's only saying it. And then you have to like come out in so many other ways. Like you have to really figure out who you are because you only begin your adolescence when you're ready to start being honest with yourself.
Well, also, I mean, I imagine there's not like it's only been acceptable for such a short period of time that there's probably not as many cultural reference points in terms of like finding people you identify with.
I mean, the hardest thing about it was realizing I was gay and not being able to see an example of myself in the future.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when I watched television, there was nobody.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't until a few years later that you had like a Neil Patrick Harris. And even the Neil Patrick Harris character on How I Met Your Mother was straight and a misogynist.
Yes.
Yeah.
And a bad misogynist. Like that show
the bro
was
code.
Right. And exactly. And so they really treated women like toys you fuck on that show. And and they got away with
CBS.
that. Right.
CBS.
And yes, indeed. And they got away with that because he was gay. And they said, it's funny because he's actually gay, so we can actually entertain our viewership with this misogyny, which they love.
Right.
But we're getting away with it because it's not an actual straight person. It's like surreal because he's gay. So that was confusing.
Right.
And then other than that, it was like Will and Grace. And that, I love that show. I think it's great. But a message that you get as a young gay person is you're either a Will or a Jack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you better be a Will, right? Because he's the one that is only ever presented with having relationships.
Sure.
Jack is ridiculous.
Jack is a cartoon character.
He's a cartoon. And it's not that show's fault because it's operating in a world that they were only allowed to get away with so much. And also, by nature of being a sitcom, you have stock large character types, especially in the late 90s. So it's not that show's fault, but internalizing it as a young person, that was all we saw.
Yeah.
And also socially too, like my parents didn't have friends that were gay. Like I didn't see anyone. I assumed what everyone assumed, which was that I had a disease. I was sick in the head, mentally ill, probably would die of AIDS, and that suicide was going to be an option for me because, like, and it's just like, you heard so much horror stories. Like that was when Matthew Shepard happened, and it's like you better not tell anyone, or you're going to get like.
Oh my God.
It's just so scary, especially for an 11-year-old.
11
with no
baby.
information.
Right.
And
at least the internet does exist now. To like, there are like places that people could like see.
Yes.
Like, oh, this is normal. Like it's becoming.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword too. Because of course
Reddit is
you're
like,
dealing with so many different kinds of bullying
You're
and
right.
information that's not real information.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, toxic people who hate themselves, who are just trying to like.
Yeah, it's a tough one, and I sometimes think about the new young generation of gay people coming up, and I think, wow, they have it real easy, like because they at least can see themselves represented and accepted in the media, and there's so many like heroic gay people now, like Adam Rippon and Gus Kenworthy, for them to be Olympic athletes and out and gay is so huge. But at the same time, they're growing up in the age of social media. They don't know anything but social media, and that has to be ripping people apart in ways that they won't understand for many years.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even, I struggle to have the self-esteem to do it now as an adult.
Sure.
And I can't even imagine what it would be like when I was like, you're trying to figure out who you are and you don't know, and you're trying to make everybody else happy or like you or
they're
whatever.
constantly filling out that survey that you filled out about your favorite bands.
Oh, yeah.
So they're constantly being like, what is the right answer that I need to put out into the world?
Yeah.
And also now, especially like in the new era where like we're really talking about social justice on social media, there is this kind of like there is an expectation that you're going to have the right answer every single time, and everything there's receipts for everything, and there's public record of everything, and that's got to be very intimidating for a young person just trying to figure it the fuck out. I mean, it's intimidating for us now, as you know.
I think that there are a lot less drinking and drug use now for that reason. They say, like, because everything could be recorded, everything could be taped. You don't want to be like, reckless, or which has to be terrifying to just, think about the perfectionism behind that,
Right. Or they're going to greater lengths now to hide it. You know what I mean? Because I remember that was a whole other thing in high school too. Is like, I mean, Long Island, you guys probably know this as well. Like, it's really because there's nothing else to do. You get fucking trashed on the weekends.
Sure. Right.
So, and I just remember like the sneaking around aspect of it, like really made it worse. Like the binge drinking got out of control, and so now I wonder like what these kids are doing to sort of like get away from it with the added pressure of their parents being on social media or like whatever. I look at the new generation coming up and I'm like, wow, they're coming up in a much more liberal world, like so many more channels for them to find information, et cetera, but there's new challenges, and there will continue to be.
Can we ask what you did for fun?
I actually I was lucky that I found something I was really good at, which was I was a cross country and track athlete. So I really I poured a lot of time and energy into that because I think it was important to me to find an identity or something to easily establish myself with that people could look at me positively.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want them to say like, oh, that's the gay kid. Yeah. Even though I wasn't out at the time, like, at the time, I was very afraid of my straight peers, and I felt that they found my weaknesses and really exploited them because they were insecure themselves. And so I think in that way I was an easy target just because I'm naturally a little bit more feminine. But the thing is, doing a sport really kind of gave me like cachet with like these people who ordinarily wouldn't respect me.
And if that was your friend group, like was that if you had to categorize yourself, and what would that be? Like if we had to put a stereotypical label on it in terms of
like cross country nerds.
Okay.
Like skinny guys who but were cool. You know what I mean? They didn't listen to like OAR, they listened to Queen. You know what I mean? Like on the cross country bus where you'd sing Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that. Like it was like these guys that, I think they weren't necessarily the jock types. They weren't fitting in, but they still had a competitive edge to them. And my friends were I was very young when I kind of grew into my like body a little bit. And so I actually was very good at cross country and track when I was younger. When I was 8th grade, I was on my varsity team running like a 450 mile. Like my body just like became...
Wow.
It just grew up earlier, so my friends were older.
450 mile?
And then my best mile was a 436 when I was 17. I was really good at it.
That's incredible.
Thank you. I poured a lot of time and effort and energy into that.
Sebastian, you remember what you got on the mile in high school?
I'll tell you this. I ran around the track twice and then hid behind a tree.
I don't blame you.
And then
that was me socially.
Yeah, and I hid behind the tree, and then I finished with everyone else. And my gym teacher said I did it too fast. He knew I cheated something.
Yeah, right.
It was too good.
It was I overestimated, and so he made me do it again.
I should also say my dad was a phys ed teacher and a varsity football and baseball coach.
Really?
And so that was
your school?
No,
Rick
Rich.
Rich.
At a neighboring school. My mom's name is. I just made up Tracy before. My mom's name is Katrina.
Oh my god.
Yes. But it did add a little bit of a pressure to be good at a sport.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, having a father that was, in that.
Was he a jock?
He certainly was a jock.
And,
that probably helped when you filled out that form, though. Rich Rogers.
Yeah, right? Such a strong name. Also, to be honest with you, the gym teachers in my high school knew of him because my dad was a very, very good defensive coordinator in Lindenhurst High School. He was well known on Long Island. He won an award for coaching. And my gym teachers knew him and didn't fuck with me.
That's awesome.
Because I had that. So
that's great.
Because they knew he'd come fuck them up.
He would come fuck them up.
My dad was a superintendent. So if
I
ever got in trouble, they would just call the house. I would never got suspended.
Didn't you tell me like he taught the RZA or something like that? Was that you?
No.
I just made this up.
The fuck is the RZA?
The RZA from the
member of
Wu-Tang
Wu-Tang.
Clan.
Oh, okay.
Someone told me that. I have a
Someone
friend
told you that my dad.
No. Someone's
Who the
dad.
fuck is talking about my dad?
Someone's dad taught the RZA, and if please chime in on the comments of the Instagram photos.
Tweet at us if your dad taught the RZA. So I have another question, which was like we talked a little bit about that moment that you felt that. Were there times in this period where moments where you were like, I have to like fucking move past this?
Yeah. I mean, there was a point when I was 19 years old. I had gone to NYU already for a year.
And what were you studying?
I actually was a journalism major my first year, but
okay.
So it all kind of comes together.
Sure.
And I'll explain. So when you're in high school, and I worked so hard to establish my identity as like to be cool, to be straight, to be good at sports, to be funny.
Yeah.
That I actually, by the time I was a senior, I actually was senior prom king. Like
Wow.
I fought for it. I went from having no friends in 8th grade to just getting there.
Yeah.
And I like really felt like I won high school because I, against all odds, and no one knew what I was up against, which was like my sexuality. I just fooled everyone, got them.
Yeah.
Got into NYU, came to NYU, and then it was like, oh fuck. Now I have to reestablish my whole identity.
Yeah.
And here I am at my NYU dorm, dressed all in American Eagle, with my like fucking mask drag, like fake hair, like my like spiked shit, puka shell necklace, hemp, all of it. And everyone at NYU who were these cool alternative kids and a lot of gay kids who were already out and had been out for many years because they're from less restrictive places than I was, were like, no, bitch. We see right through you. And all of a sudden, the bullies were no longer the straight guys. The bullies were the other gay men.
Wow.
And so that experience of being closeted all through my freshman year of high school at NYU was just like, why am I doing this? And it got to a point where I physically could not do it anymore.
Yeah.
And I just had to say something. So then I came back and I told everyone at work first, then my social group of friends from high school, and then shortly after, gradually, my family.
Can I ask why you chose work?
Because
first?
they were a safe...
It was a starter.
It was a starter. You know what I mean? Like they knew me well. I spent a lot of time with them.
And where'd you work?
I worked at this restaurant called Nikki's on the Bay in the Bayshore Ferry Terminal.
Of course.
I was a busboy and then I was a waiter. But they were easy and they were a good barometer.
Yeah, they weren't gonna judge you. They weren't like affecting your. They weren't. They were just people in your life that like.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll start with them. It's an easy first step.
Right, and also to be honest with you, like the owner of the restaurant, his son was gay, and so I knew they already had. It was very much a family restaurant, and so I knew they had already dealt with accepting someone for their sexuality, and so that made me feel like, let's try this. And it went well. And honestly, I only had positive experiences, but like the gradual kind of pain of coming out of the closet, it was like that last. Yeah. It was like running a race. It was like that last 100 meters that are the worst, that are the most painful.
I have so many questions. One is, how did the bullying in college manifest, and how was it different?
Okay, it was more vicious. I think because there was. Gay men are so. And I think people, like, when you get attacked so much, like in high school, and everyone's experiences are different, but we all feel ostracized, so that when you finally reclaim your identity, you're like really strident about it. Mm-hmm. And so when you see other people that haven't done that or haven't gotten there, you finally see your opportunity to be in the majority. And I think when you're young and don't know any better, you take that opportunity and you treat people badly. Yeah. I also think hurt people. And I think that, you know, also everyone's super horny. Yeah. And you know what I mean? Like, just the hormones are raging. Like, a lot of the guys that made fun of me, like, I ended up hooking up with 2 years later. You know what I mean? Like, it was just college. And
2 years
ago. 2 years ago,
2 years ago, I found them all.
Yeah, I found them all, and I said, we should hook up and put a nice bow on this. No. But it was just more vicious because it also mattered to me what they thought. Right. And also, like, I just felt so pathetic. I was like, wow, I really thought I had it figured out in what was this like small world that was my high school, and the world is so much bigger. And realizing that I had to establish a fake identity again was just exhausting, and I wasn't up for it. I was like, you know what, let's just try being myself. And so then not only was it being myself in terms of my sexuality or who I really was, it was also like, let's commit to my real interests. You know what I mean? I transferred into Tisch at NYU.
Of course, because I knew you went there.
Yeah. And so I studied writing and got into sketch comedy and started to really do the stuff that I loved and be myself. And to find out that I was good at that stuff was just like, really, I was really very lucky.
Do you think you went to NYU because you wanted to?
I know I did.
You were like, this is a place in the
back
city.
of your head. You were like,
I've always wanted to be a performer. I've always wanted to be an actress since I was young. I've always wanted to be a comedian.
And did you do plays in high school?
No, never.
See, because I wanted to jump back to that. Were there moments like you were like, I'm not being authentic, like in high school? Like,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, there's so many times I wanted to audition for like show choir or like wanted to audition for the play or whatever it was. But you just couldn't because then everyone would know you were gay.
Of course. I mean, I did the plays and I wasn't gay.
Yeah.
And I was still called gay.
Yeah.
And I was on the football team.
'Cause it's a
and
gay
I had a
thing.
girlfriend.
Right.
I was getting head.
Yeah. You get ahead.
You don't need to.
You had the
I was
receipts.
getting head from a girl.
You get head from a girl yet still.
Sebastian finds a way to bring up the fact that he got head from in high school.
I'm happy to hear that.
Honestly, that's why we're doing this.
Yeah, thank you. I'm really happy that we finally got there.
Yeah.
The podcast is actually called Sebastian Got Head in High School. No,
I mean,
but yeah.
It's
fucked
hard.
up.
Yeah. And it was like, I remember like having to combat that I did musical theater.
Yeah.
So much.
People just don't believe that you can be an interesting person in high school and have many different
100%.
And it comes from the patriarchal sort of toxic masculinity idea of this is the way that things are. What group do you belong to?
Right,
I mean, my parents' friends would be like, so what are you? You know what I mean? I was like 14 years old and they were like, what are you? Are you a jock? Are you a prep? Are you a goth? Are you a this? I was just like, oh God, it's so... It's just so ingrained in that in so many parts of the country and the world that you have to identify with not only just one thing, but like a very specific thing.
Well, humans like to put things in categories. That's what makes us different than other animals.
Absolutely.
It's like, we have knowledge and we could like separate these and put them compartmentalize.
Absolutely.
All this information.
Yeah, and as creatives too, I think it's like impossible to fall into that regardless of where you know. It's like I think we're in an industry like where a lot of people are like, oh, okay, so like maybe I'm a casting director. Oh, okay, you're gay. Like what? Like we're talking about with Will and Grace. It's like, what category do you fit in?
Exactly.
Or it's like insane. Because I think, people want to compartmentalize like everything.
Yeah. And I think, you know what? Let them do that. It's hard when you do that to yourself.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, but
impossible.
like, but like I said, when you don't know anything better, like it took me so long to realize. Because even like I said before, like there's coming out and then there's still those parts of you that are closeted. I mean, when I was doing sketch comedy in college, like I look back on some of the sketches that we did and we're like, oh my God, that was so offensive towards whatever race or whatever women or whatever what have you. Like so many of the shit that I wrote that I thought was acceptable, so many of the things I would do, you look back on and you're like, holy shit. Like, and I do think that it just takes a lot of time to get over. And I'm sure there's things about the stuff that we do now that we'll look back on and we'll be like, oh, that wasn't so great.
And you know what? It's okay to make those mistakes.
Of course it is.
I think with like the internet now, you feel like you can't make mistakes. It's like what you were saying with the kids. You can't make a mistake. And I know people have so much anxiety. They're going to put something out there in the world. Because I'm sure if you were doing sketch now in college, all of them would be online and all of them would be shared. Tough. And it's like, you need to make mistakes to learn from your mistakes. If you never make a mistake, how are you going to ever learn?
Well, it's so interesting. Like, we all like came up through UCB. Sometimes it even feels, especially there, like, it's hard to make mistakes. Like, and it's like, if you're not going to be able to make mistakes here and try things here, like, really, what is it for then?
I know. And I'm from a place that has a lot of wrong ideas.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that you feel lucky to have left that place and like gotten to the city, as they say, where we're from. You made it to the city, which it makes
me feel very grateful that I actually was forced to be pushed to the side of the norm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Of course.
Because then I think when you're pushed to the side of things, you see inside it more clearly.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was talking to about this with my friend actually from high school who dealt with some mental health stuff. And she said, that she feels grateful for that and the trauma that she went through because it made her interesting and dynamic, and when you can get through things like that,
you have perspective.
and you have like a fresh perspective.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if I would be anywhere near as interesting as I think I am or dynamic as I think I am, and I'm able to say that now because I'm not going to apologize for the stuff that makes me different and interesting.
Yeah.
When I did that for so long, and I'm grateful for what made me different.
Of course, and all those years of like you having to hide, probably made you a tremendous actor and comedian because you had to like observe other people and like try to fit their molds.
Well, it took, but the thing is also, I will say it did take seeing peers of mine and people that were a little bit older than me. For example, at UCB, to see them succeed. I think that's why representation matters, and that's why I'm so on board with like all the calls for diversity at places like UCB, because people don't understand that it really empowers people. Like when I saw Josh Sharp and Aaron Jackson on stage doing their thing and not giving a fuck.
Yeah.
Two of the funniest guys.
And
undeniably.
it just made me say, and here's another thing. Not one element of it made me jealous or competitive. It only made me empowered.
Yeah.
Mike Kelton only empowers me. Brandon Scott Jones only empowers me. Brian Foss only empowers me.
Yeah.
All these people. Because you know what? It's just like we needed to see that to then be when you're talking about numbers, triple of prominent people in the UCB community that are LGBT Q plus,
of course,
that have come forward and are now able to say, here's my authentic comedy because I saw it embraced.
Diversity's on stages for the next generation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so that's what I mean when I say, when you talk about the moment you decide to make big changes, sure, you could talk about coming out of the closet, but for me, it was actually understanding that what's special about you is what am I trying to say here? What's
you being
special is you being authentic.
Yes.
Yeah.
You said that there were multiple ways that you had to come out. Like,
right? Absolutely.
Yeah. Like
so many ways.
So you tell the people at the restaurant, you tell your family, and what else do you think? Like, I'm sure there was some bias like that you had, like with regard to yourself. Like,
definitely. I think that well, then you have to figure out how the fuck sex works, and that's a whole fucking nightmare. Yeah, but
it's scary. You want to be good instantly,
and you are not.
You are not. It's literally, and it's the hardest. You're
and
so
you may
vulnerable.
never become good.
I know. One day I will be.
Yeah, I know, right?
We're all good now. Though,
one day I'll meet that person that likes this weird thing. No, but it's less that than just like being gay comedian. It's like for some time you think, well, you still have to play in the boys' world. And so, like, the sketches that I would write and release on the internet, sometimes I watch now and I'm like, oh my God, like, I was gay at the time, but I'm still doing, like, straight boy comedy.
Yeah.
Not that there's anything wrong with
if that's who you are.
With that, if that's who you are.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, I could just see it wasn't who I was. And for so many years, I looked at myself in videos and I heard myself and read myself back, and I was like, I don't know, like, there's something missing. This is lacking identity. And then once I saw people that I respected and admired and felt kinship with and like brotherhood with, if you will, or sisterhood, then that allowed me to say, hold on, what's really what I want to do?
Yeah.
And then that's the first time I really asked myself, what do I really want to do? And not joking. That's when I got on Maude. That's when Pop Roulette, my sketch group at the time, really kind of started to succeed around town. That's when Shannon O'Neill has always like had my back, and I think she saw me being my authentic self, and she put me up for showcases and stuff like that. That's when I got my representation. Was when I think people really saw me do my thing
Well,
because no one else can do my thing.
I heard that like through comedy, you want to show people who you are or what you love.
Right.
Because you're sharing an experience of like what you're sharing your experience in the world.
Absolutely. Or in your observations and your unique observations.
And if it's not authentic, it's just it's going to fail.
Yeah. And
people
I mean,
see right through that shit.
that's, it's so interesting too because was lucky enough to go to Just for Laughs last year as one of the new faces, and so now sometimes
congratulations, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Over almost a year later. But the thing is, like,
I sent you a fucking message.
You did.
I definitely did.
I didn't
Thank
send
you,
you a
bitch.
message, and I
Yeah,
apologize.
dude.
I remember that you didn't send me a message. But now people will ask me to coach their characters and stuff. And the thing I tell everyone is like, I'll watch them and I'll be like, yeah, this is good, but what's your take?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, people want to know what your take is. That's what I would say to people is it's like, when you're writing, when you're expressing yourself, when you're creating a character, like, make sure that your interesting take is in there. Don't just do something because it's a voice you can do or whatever. Like,
or it has a game and you're playing the pattern of that shit.
Yes, because you have to, that's great to learn. I think, like, you know what I mean? It's great to become an amazing improviser or an amazing sketch comedian, be able to write those 1, 2, 3 sketches, but also fill it with something you want to say. You know what I mean? Like, always have another thing that's I have a take.
But I think when I started doing comedy, I didn't know who I was either.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I don't think anyone does.
No, I don't think, and that's a great place to be because then you learn how to just do comedy.
Right.
Yeah, I think also being aware that you don't know who you are, you're continuing to figure out who you are is the only way you can continue to get funny.
Yeah,
you should
100%.
never stop, like, probably figuring out who you are if you're a comedian.
I'm very happy that I wasn't like being seen doing comedy at like 20 years old.
I know.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm very happy that it took as long as it did to.
Please.
You know what I mean?
I'd
was
be
10
dead, bro.
Yeah.
If I was 20 and they saw me doing comedy.
Yeah, right?
Oh, yeah.
I would have done cocaine and titties. Just fucking died.
I would have done cocaine and titties.
I would have
Cocaine and
literally
titties.
cocaine and burgers.
Yeah,
I would have been,
100%.
and I would have just been dead.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so. It was hard, but it worked out.
Yeah, everything happens at the time it's supposed to. You held everything in till the time you were supposed to. You know.
Yeah.
I want to know what you feel like your life would look like now had you never made that decision.
I don't know, man. That's such a weird one. Like, I think I was also talking to my friend that I was speaking about before. You know, I was like, I'm so happy that I wasn't like. I wonder what would have happened to me if I was just like everyone else in high school. Like, would I be married and like just living on Long Island, which would be great. I think I would feel actualized, but I like my life now, and so I can't imagine my life different. Yeah. I think if I had, God, I feel like not having come out of the closet, like that's not an option. Like, I would have had to, but in terms of like, I don't know. I'm so grateful for everybody that's out there doing their thing, because like that inspires me to do my thing. I think if I don't know, if I wasn't doing comedy, like that would be really tough. Like I don't have many other skills.
I know. Isn't that scary?
I'm not good at many other things.
Scary,
like even my high school friends, like they come in and see shows I do or whatever, and they are very supportive, but they even say like, yeah, sometimes I wonder, like, it's been 10 years that you're doing this. It's like, what would you do? Like, even in high school, like, you were a good writer, but, like, it was mostly because you were charming. It wasn't, like, good writing. You couldn't do math. You couldn't do science. You know, you can only run around in a circle on a track for so long. It's like my skills were very limited.
Yeah.
So, man, I think I'd be leading some fucking sad life if I wasn't, like, queer and, like, pushed to the side and, like, given the license because I was already different to pursue this different thing.
Do you I can't even to think about like what your life would be if you didn't make changes is scary.
Oh boy, yeah, you got to just get brave.
Were there people who were out in your high school when you were there? No.
You know what? There were some lesbians who were out, but they were also like very gothy. Like they were already, I think they already identified as like being very different.
Yes.
And so they felt like, yeah, why the fuck not? I'm also a lesbian. Let's just say this now.
Yeah.
But there was no. Years later, I would find out that there were some other gay guys or some other like lesbians that I went to high school with that I didn't find out until years later.
Of course, in my high school in Staten Island, I think there was one gay guy.
Yeah, no, there was nobody like out.
I know.
There was no Love Simons.
Were there like internal steps that you had? Like, what were some of the internal hurdles you felt like you had to take in order to just fucking go to your family and say, like, you know, like, what was the?
Yeah.
I know that's hard, but
no, you know what? If I have
And thank you for talking about
no,
this.
yeah, of
by
course.
the
And
way.
I don't even know if he knows this, but I actually didn't tell my dad until a year after I told my mother. I don't even know if he knows that. But it's just such a different thing with your father.
yeah,
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, because you want your dad to be proud of you, and it's just like there's so much going on there. And also, like I said, my dad is a certain type of guy, and he has come so far from where he was. But the thing about your parents is you remember everything they say. That's another thing about being gay or whatever it is. Whatever makes you different. You remember and you clock everything that everyone says. I remember watching television with my mother and my sister, and we watching Grey's Anatomy, and there was like a same-sex lesbian kiss on Grey's Anatomy, and their reaction to that was as if it was the most disgusting thing they had ever seen. Forget about like all the violence on like 24, or like all the other ridiculous garbage that happened on Grey's Anatomy. Like, that was what made them almost turn that fucking channel.
Wow.
And I was like sitting there, and I was like, well, I mean, one time I was being stupid with my mom on the beach. Like, she was taking like Polaroid pictures of me, and I was doing like the tiger hands, like a Zoolander thing.
Yeah.
And my dad was sitting in the car, and I went back and I was like, why didn't you come out with us? And he was like, because I thought what you were doing was pretty gay. And I was like, you know, like, I think maybe even that was before I realized. I was like 10, 11, 12 years old, whatever.
But that's stuck
like,
with you.
you know, I remember it now.
Of course, and I'm sure where you're from, people threw gay around.
Oh, all the time. I
and
mean,
other
it was,
words, too. Like, I mean...
I can't do Eminem. You know what I mean? Like, I can't do Eminem. I can never...
Sure.
I will never accept it. Like, because...
And he was huge when you were a kid.
Because he made it a thing. He can say it was an alter ego as much as he wants. Like, he popularized homophobia.
Yeah.
Like, and that
he's
is
one of the-
something that's true. That is something that's true.
I never
mean,
even like thought about that because I was a kid that had Eminem and would listen to it, and I called kids gay, and
Of course. So did I.
because I was a kid from Staten Island. If you didn't, then there was something wrong with you.
Right, I mean, and I did it too. Because
Yeah, of
remember,
course.
I was like performing as a straight person at the time.
Yeah.
But I bought Eminem's albums because I was supposed to, and it upset me. It
Really?
upset me because I was just like, God, I have to sit through this all day, like involuntarily. Now I'm voluntarily sitting through this so that I can have like a cultural reference point for when I go to school later.
Yeah.
I didn't like any of it. I didn't like on the Eminem show, which was a graphic depiction of him murdering audience members. I didn't like any of it. I don't get it. Maybe now as an artist, now I can respect and understand the fact that like he was operating in different personas, but that was not clear to many millions of people that he influenced. And I also just want to say, if you don't think that men hit their girlfriends because they were influenced by Eminem,
Sure.
you're wrong. Because like there was a lot of problematic shit there, and I can tell you as someone who experienced that at the time when he was at his he was in his imperial phase as a star.
Yeah.
Like it pervaded everything about my middle school experience. It was tough, and you know, I felt so uncool at the time, and even uncool now talking about it.
When
but
you
it's
heard
like-
it for the first time, did you know instantly that this was going to be something bad?
No, because I don't think you ever really know. Like for example, I remember when Taylor Swift came out, my dad said, like, I think she's going to be a big deal. I was like, what are you talking about? She can't sing. Like, she's going to be like a songwriter in a few years. Now she's the biggest star in the world. So I think Eminem, like, sneakily, it kind of become this thing that was, like, always on the radio.
Because when I saw Austin Powers and Fat Bastard came on the screen, my stomach dropped.
Yeah.
'Cause I knew that. And
That
I
was
was
gonna
with
be a
my
thing.
friends. I go, people are going to call me that.
Yep.
That's gonna be a name. I was just like, I had that moment where something in culture happened, and I go, that's gonna fucking ruin
I'm going to
me.
pay for that.
Yes, I'm gonna pay for everyone to get in my belly.
Sebastian, I just want you to know that I was going to reveal my mile in high school too. That wasn't just sort of a thing where I was.
No, he was shaming me. Everyone, he wanted me to say how slow I was.
But no, it's a real thing. I mean,
and I had to pretend to like it, like you pretended to like Eminem.
yeah, there was a moment where like he
Oh
talks
my
about
God.
same-sex kisses, and then in the background, one of his vocals goes, "Ugh," and I was just like, "Oh yeah, I'm repulsive. I'm disgusting."
You guys talk about Staten Island and Long Island like they are like these anomalies. Jesus. But like, like this is, there were two people who were out in my high school too, and they were both goth kids.
Right.
Like like this is like something that we are very much in a bubble about.
Yeah.
And culturally, there is like people don't even understand what it means to be like angry and frustrated with artists like this, right? Like it's like, so this is almost probably for most people in the country are like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Like how, I don't know. It's like, how do we?
Well, I think I totally understand what you're saying. And I think you're seeing some of it now, like, but on the flip side, it's like when people are furious with Beyonce for what she does at the Super Bowl. It's like, dude, this isn't even attacking you.
Right.
I know.
Like, this isn't even attacking you. It's just an expression. Like, truly, that is just an expression of what it is. It's of black womanhood.
Right.
Sure. And Giuliani could not deal with
and
it.
And when is, come on. That guy is the most ridiculous person.
Well, do you remember when he was like a New York City
he's a celebrity
superstar?
Is what he is.
He was a superstar in New York.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
As a kid, I was like, Giuliani's the
Of
best
course,
after 9/11.
We all were, because you could never. And now it's so interesting now with all these negative opinions of Giuliani, because you still see older New Yorkers like bristle at that. Like, how dare you?
Right.
Meanwhile, Hillary Clinton was on ground zero too that same day, but it's still cool to shit on her.
Yeah.
Why do you think?
Yeah. I always say like about Hillary, like she's walking in the aftermath of 9/11. She's walking down the street in the aftermath of 9/11, and then cut to her in the war room when Bin Laden got killed. It's like, if that's a man, that's the president.
100,000%. 100,000%.
Like, it's crazy
And
that people are like,
right. But that's kind of what I mean. It's just interesting that now it's flipped a little bit. You don't have a lot. These artists, we call them out on bullshit. Like Eminem, now he has to answer a lot of questions about the way he affected everybody.
Yeah.
And now it's just flipped to now it's like this like straight white male fragility.
Yeah.
That can't fucking handle the like primal scream that is black art right now.
Yeah.
And against injustice.
Yeah.
And that is what it is, and it's totally justified, and it's so real, but they can't handle it, and yet we are the snowflakes.
It's, what it is? It's like, I heard like, it's fucking insane.
It's crazy.
I've heard that like when you attack somebody's like identity, right? Like when somebody feels like their identity is threatened. So in other words, like, yeah, Ronald Reagan was a fucking terrible president who had racist and, he was a garbage human being. But if you've heard your parents talk about Reagan like he's the best thing in the world, it's literally the brain perceives it as the same level of a threat as like a violent threat.
Absolutely.
So it's like such a difficult, like I feel like there's like approaching each other, and especially now that the internet exists and people can become more and more polarized and more radicalized, it just feels like, how the fuck are we going to do this?
Yeah.
I
mean, it's so interesting too, and this is we talk about the word privilege a lot. And I think for a lot of white people, when they hear that word privilege, it makes them so angry because they associate privilege with wealth and prosperity, and not all of that. In fact, the vast majority of people in this world, I don't think, came from a lot of money. Yeah. And so when you say, well, you're privileged and you need to check your privilege, what they hear is, you come from wealth and riches.
You've had it easy your whole life. Yeah.
What are you talking about? No, I haven't. Like, and I have had very tearful conversations with members of my family because I've called them on their privilege. And I understand now why the response to that is so angry, because they misinterpret it. Meanwhile, what we're saying is everybody has privilege.
Yes.
Let's take account of what our specific privileges are and then start a conversation. There's a great book coming out by a friend of mine named Francesca Ramsey. It's called Well, That Escalated Quickly, and she's going to be on my podcast talking about the book. And this is a great book that I got that idea from. And it really nailed it for me, which is when people they quake with anger at that word privilege.
Yeah.
It's because they're not understanding that it just means something about you that allows you to walk through the world and not have fear.
Well, I think people think that it's if they have one privilege, they can't have other parts that they weren't privileged.
Right, exactly.
They're like, it's like either you are privileged or you're not privileged.
Exactly, and it's not like that.
No,
it's not like
it's
that.
that category thing again.
And there's so many categories.
People need to because people do simplify it, right? Like people can take it and weaponize it, right? But if it's like you're looking at it for what it truly means, it's not an attack on anybody. It's just an acknowledgement of the reality that we live in.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So now that the straight white man I just wrapped it up. I
really think that if everyone listens to this, they're gonna have a great life. I think we fucking solved it. No, it blows my mind. The response to Beyonce fucking blows my mind, man. It's just so crazy, as if she's some dangerous person.
I always like try to say to like people when I get confronted with that, I'm like, you kind of only have two options, right? You either are racist, or you have to acknowledge that black people in America have been oppressed, right? Yeah. There's or else you're saying no, everyone's equal, but they are economically fucked because they're blank.
Right.
That's racist.
Right.
There's it is a black and white. That's a black and white thing.
Asked. Yeah. I mean, look, and then I think, it's just so hard for people to admit that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's not like, and I also don't think people understand that racism isn't something you decide to be. It's like it's institutionalized.
Well, that's like one thing that I wanted to ask you about, right? Because it's like we all have these layers and layers of bias, right? Like I know I do. I know I have to constantly check this stuff. Like oh wait, what are my motives? What are my motives here? Like what's my blind spot, right? Like and I also know that I am not supposed to necessarily ask this, but I want to.
Yeah.
Are there things that straight white guys or straight guys or straight people, what are like blind spots that you see in people who are trying to be progressive? If that's okay to ask.
Yes, absolutely. I think there is something that the sort of we compete with each other.
Yeah.
And I think often in a rush to say the right thing, we speak over people.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a thing. You call it white feminism if you want to, but oftentimes it's ironic which voices are the loudest.
Yeah.
And here we are, three white men talking about this.
Right, sure.
But I would hope that if there was a person of color or a woman here, we would cede the floor to them to have these discussions, especially trans people right now. But I don't see that happening a lot. And it's actually one of the reasons why I had to leave Facebook, is because I was getting really upset and developing ideas about people that were just founded on a little square picture of them and like a blurb of text that they chose to represent themselves in maybe what might have been a matter of seconds. And so that's, I think we can all take a step back, really think about what we want to say and think, do I want to say this or do I need to say this? Totally. I think that's like a place where we can all separate. I think it's fine to listen. I think our lives are going to be like long and vast. Like there's going to be time for you to speak and time for you to listen. And I definitely think that it's not even just a thing with straight white men or straight white cis men or whatever, what have you. It's a thing with everybody needs to be more thoughtful. And I do think we should all just like really genuinely ask ourselves, like, am I trying to get the most likes today on Facebook?
Oh, totally.
Am I trying to get retweeted?
Yeah.
Am I trying to get double tapped? Because it's an addiction.
Or yes. And also what you're saying about it being impulsive, like not thinking before you post. Like, for example, I saw a post that you made about Eminem. I'm also barely on Facebook because it makes me crazy.
Yeah.
I saw a post you made about Eminem and I reacted. Yeah. I reacted to it. Like I was like, I almost like impulsively responded.
Right, I get it.
Hearing you talk in person, I'm like, oh, of course this is correct.
Yeah, but then of course, because it's Facebook and because it's social media, it's like. And also, like, when you just said, like, I saw a post you wrote about Eminem, like, my heart, like, sank, because I was like, oh, God, like, how did I get myself across? That's why I'm happy to have a podcast.
Sure.
Totally. To be honest with you, that's why I'm happy that people can hear my voice. Yep. And
the tone of how you say
Yes,
things,
and also just
the
like-
levity or the weight behind stuff is important.
Yeah, we never give each other enough credit, and that's why I like Twitter, because they only allow you so many words to say something.
Yeah.
And also it encourages me to make a joke instead of like try to be righteous. And I do think there's always a time for like righteous statements, but the thing is, like, we are never, ever, ever going to truly understand each other on social media.
Yeah.
We can express ideas, but you have to understand, and you must understand, that those ideas are filtered through filtered,
Yeah.
through filtered, through filtered, through
And
filtered.
I
it's
never
the-
could get hooked to it for some reason.
Oh, dude.
God bless.
I don't know. There's something about it. I've like tried to do it, and I just can't. I don't enjoy it. I don't like need to look at it. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm addicted to it.
But I
am
play
too.
video games.
It is an addiction. And it's designed to be addictive. So you're just running around shooting people.
Yeah, I'm playing Call of Duty, and
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
it's not beautiful because then you're on Xbox Live and you hear
Yeah.
all the horrible things that people are saying on there.
Yeah, right. But
So-
yeah, have you ever like deactivated Facebook?
Yeah.
It's so they make
so
it
many
so
times.
hard
Oh
to
my
do
God,
it.
yeah.
Like they when you go to delete Facebook, there's like, here's a list of many options of why you're doing it. Tell us why.
Yeah.
And you pick one, and it's like, I'm spending too much time on here, or I'm encouraging a lot of like hates. I'm seeing a lot of hate, encountering a lot of hate speech,
Yes.
or this.
Yeah,
It's like
there's
so many different
And
things.
one of them is you're a big dumb idiot.
Yeah. But you click it, and then it's like, well, did you ever think about doing this? And then you have to say yes or no. But the way they frame that is even weird.
Yes.
It's just like, they want to keep you on there so much.
Of course,
And
because they're making money from.
they want
what
to
you-
run the world.
Yeah.
They want to run the world. And that is fucking scary.
Facebook is bad.
It's bad. It's a place where people go to put bad feelings.
Yeah.
It's the place where people go to dump.
And the loudest, most toxic stuff rises to the top. There's no nuance.
I'll tell you something. Once I was getting into fights about fucking Disney animated movies, and it meant something more than
Yes.
it really was. Like,
I
I was
did
like,
not
no,
think
I
you were
gotta
gonna say that.
fucking get off. Of
I
this.
wrote.
And it's no shade to anyone that I was like, and who fucking cares
But honestly,
now? But
fuck
like,
them. Let's hear their names. Who the fuck are they? I wrote a post once that said cheesecake is not a cake, it's a pie, and like, and it was a joke, but I was
people
trying to
pushed
start.
back?
Yeah. Oh my god. There was a fight. There was an angry fight going on that thread.
No,
and it was like
about cheesecake, something that's only built for pleasure.
yeah, and it was just I was just joking around about it. I don't care. I have no fucking hard. I mean, but I was like going back at people pretty hard.
there are some pretty fucking bored people that want so badly to be the headline of the day on Facebook.
Right. Well,
they just
and it's
wanna-
a sickness. It's an addiction.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you,
I would have it.
yeah, so do I, but you can do it. You can delete it. Like, I thought
Yeah.
there's no way I could live without Facebook, and I used the excuse of, how will I promote my shows?
Yeah.
The answer is other forms of social media that don't drive you fucking insane.
Totally.
And also, those have the potential to drive you fucking insane too, but you
Sure.
just gotta like check yourself. Facebook, I think, is gone.
Yeah.
I think it's gone. I think we should let it go. Fucking rest in peace.
Totally.
I love that.
But the other ones I still do love.
So I want to.
I love Instagram.
Instagram.
But I love all other social media,
I
and I
fucking
will
love
join
Instagram.
any other social media.
I love getting likes on Instagram. I love when you watch my stories. I love when you tag me.
So let's talk about that because I want to give you the opportunity to plug all your stuff, and I want to talk
Ooh.
about. We talk about who you were, and let's talk about who you are now. Like I want.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like myself now. I think that I express myself. I think that I am funny. I think that I have a very fun podcast called Los Culturistas, where my best friend Bowen Yang and I, who's another inspiration to me, he and I kind of talk about pop culture. We have comedians on. We kind of spill the tea on what we like, what we don't like too much. We have a very cathartic live show that's been a big success called I Don't Think So, Honey, where we get 50 comedians on stage and they all take 1 minute to sort of rail against something in pop culture they feel is not so great or anything in life. And I know it's inherently negative because it's I don't think so, honey, but it's also very cathartic.
Yes.
And so what I really want to do is with my comedy is I just want to speak truth to power in a responsible and fun way, in a way that doesn't feel negative. In my characters, I love poking fun at like performative masculinity. I love making fun of these things that used to oppress me a little bit.
Yep.
I think I can see a lot of humor in it now. because I feel safe to do that and I feel secure enough in myself to do that. But in terms of like where I'm at right now, I feel that I've actually only recently really become myself. And I think that that's cool because there were so many years where I wasn't. And I like, you know, it's been a lot of many years of hard work, not only to get actually funny or to get, advance in the industry or whatever, but also, to become yourself and to feel like people are getting to know me now as myself, however gradually it's happening. It feels good. You know what I mean? Because I stand by who I am. And so, yeah, it's fun. And I like my friends a lot. Like I really have interesting people in my life.
Sure. From an outside perspective, you do seem like a man that knows himself.
Well, you seem very happy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's ups and downs. Like
of course.
There's things.
No, you're
going
happy
on.
all the time.
No,
You seem like you're happy all the time.
Yeah, but the thing
you
is,
have iced coffee, bro. Remember that.
you're right. You know what? I should just say it's one of my many privileges. I have iced coffee. I never have to worry about it. I know exactly where to go to get it.
Okay, so
Sometimes they even gave it to me for free.
Oh my God.
The other day I went to the coffee shop and I saw my friend Nick Garcia and he gave me an iced coffee.
Where does he work? I want to get
Champions.
On this. Okay, let's
Champions
In Greenpoint, honey.
we need to go.
You must go. No, I'm kidding. But the thing is, now it's interesting because the things that kind of get me down, I kind of have enough perspective now to be like, well, this is a very like first world problem.
Totally.
Sure,
You know what I mean?
You went through something bigger to
Yeah.
make the smaller stuff seem more manageable.
And also, to be honest with you, I'll tell you what show sort of changed my life is RuPaul's Drag Race. Because RuPaul says that we're all born naked and the rest is drag. And that means that we're born into this world and we can make our own rules. And we should, because you're only going to live one time. And he also talks a lot about the inner saboteur, which is that voice inside your head that says, you're not good.
Yeah.
You can't do this. But that is something coming from you. You have to walk the world and say, everyone wants me to succeed. Like whenever I would go into an audition room, like especially over at UCB,
yeah.
I would walk in there and I would say, everyone on the other side of that table, they don't want me to do bad.
No.
They want me to succeed. They want to have someone come in and bring something special. And so you just have to walk the world and say, I'm special. What I have to offer is something great.
Yeah.
And I know that's easier said than done.
Yeah.
But
It's work.
it's really work, and it takes a lot. You're gonna have to have those light bulb moments. But for me, it was as simple as like seeing like the gays succeed at UCB, and also watching a reality competition television show, which is Men in a Dress, and it's just like, it freed me in a way. And so I took a lot from that, and just deciding that, you know what, I'm just going to care a little bit less because, follow the fun. And it's all these improv mantras too.
Yeah.
Yes, and follow the fun. If this is true, then what else is true? That's a question you can ask about yourself all the time. Like, I'm so grateful for the education I had there, and in addition to all these other things and the people that I've met, because they're life stuff. You know what I mean? Like, you learn how to communicate when you free yourself up, and it's life stuff. It's not just comedy stuff.
I think you just already did this, or this whole interview was this, but I just thought of a question is like, if there's someone in that position, what do you say? What are you going to say to them right now? Like in the position that you were when you weren't being authentic?
I would say it's okay to feel everything that you're feeling because it's real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like that's another thing is it's like oppression is real. Like these things are hard and they take real time. And also I know, and I said this a couple times, but I have had it pretty easy because the panic that I felt was all interior. And there's a lot of people out there that are panicked because of what they look like on the outside. And that's a whole other fucking can of worms. And I just want to tell everybody like that what you're going through is real. And that's cool. And that's not cool, but like it's okay to don't let anyone tell you that it's fake.
Yeah.
Don't fucking listen to Kanye West.
Sure,
you know what I mean?
Empathy rather than sympathy.
Yeah.
So it's like I relate to this, and I felt that. I understand this.
Yeah. And so what you're going through is real. Stay in the fight.
Yeah.
And do what makes you happy, and like I believe in self-care. I believe self-care is a real thing. If you're getting fucking fatigued because you're on Facebook and it's too much negativity, you have the option to log off. Go do something else. Like seriously.
Sure, delete the app.
Delete the app, like, or even just delete the app. Right? You don't have to get off the whole thing.
Just delete the app.
Just know that it's okay to feel what you're feeling. There is a way out of it. It's like different for everybody. I never had to deal with real honest to God depression. I don't think. Man, let me tell you something. I had a bad fucking day yesterday, and my whole attitude would have been so different if I had been on this podcast yesterday.
Really?
And that's
Of
another
course.
thing is it's a day-to-day thing. Like life is tough, and there's lots of stuff that can get in your way. Just know that we're all born naked, and the rest is drag. if there's something in your head that's telling you you're not good enough, that's fake. Nothing is real. The only thing that's real is what you create in your life, and it's up to you. Like, really, it's up to you. Walk into someplace with a good energy. Smile at somebody. Tell someone you like their shoes.
Yeah.
Buy yourself a nice new shirt.
I go, have a fun day.
Yeah, have a fun day.
Rather than
I
a
love
good
that.
day. Have a fun day. And people always go, oh, thanks. It like takes them back a little bit because no one, like, that's what you want.
Yeah.
It's not a good day. You want a fun day.
You've always been such good energy, though. I remember the first day that we
great.
met.
You
we
guys
met
are
during
both
Story
great energy.
Pirates.
I'm here
yes.
to fucking pull it down.
But that's the thing is it's like, you know what? Like it's hard to be effusive all the time. And I
Sure.
also know that not everyone's like on all the time. Like
No.
not everyone's the same on stage as they are off. Like
Of course.
I am. Like I try to be on all the time, and then when I get home at night, I like to kind of like unwind in my way and like be kind of by myself for a little while. But
Introverted, extrovert.
introvert.
Yeah,
Yeah.
whatever that
I'm a
is.
big old extrovert, but then like I do want my alone time.
Me too.
And that's cool. It's just like, don't judge yourself for the things that you need to do to make yourself happy. Because guess what? That's what matters. Like,
Yeah.
have fun, have a happiness
Sure.
in your life. And I know it's easier said than done.
Yes.
But it's cool.
And
to,
don't be mad at yourself when you can't do it.
Yeah.
Just like how you had a bad day yesterday. If you beat yourself up today about that, then you would have felt like shit today again.
Yeah.
I need you guys over here all the time.
it's that's what's cool about this podcast that you guys are doing is it forces you to be introspective, and like some people may say that's selfish, but just know if you're the kind of person that says that, you're being a negative bitch.
Matt Rogers, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes! Thank you so much for coming on, bro.
This was so fun, you guys.
Yeah.
Honestly, that was it's a huge gift to have you on here, and I
Wow.
really thank you for being open and honest with us. It was really
Well, guys, talking about two people that are their authentic self. I mean, I think that you guys have always been super inspiring on stage. And when I've seen you guys, like you guys couldn't be nicer in person. And you guys are two people that everyone really looks up to. So I think it's cool that you're doing this.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
well, thank you.
Yeah, okay, that's what
Thank
I
you.
came here to say.
I also just
I'll
want
take
to
my
say,
money.
I want to say I'm grateful that you were like I wasn't jealous, but how are you not jealous of Aaron Jackson when he fucking performs? This guy is like
I lied. Fuck that bitch. I want his television job. No, I mean he is.
it's just talk about authenticity is like just pure, like his reactions are so genuine, it's like unreal.
because
Yeah.
he's an actualized person
Yeah.
that gets this. I mean,
Yeah.
he has fun in his life, and I'm sure he has bad days too, but you just
course.
could never tell.
Yeah. plug your shit. What are you on Twitter?
You can follow me at Matt Rogers though, which is Matt Rogers, which is my name, followed by the abbreviation of the word though, THO. So the way we're spelling it is at MATTROGERSTHO. And that handle is the same across the two platforms that matter, Twitter and Instagram. If you like to listen to my podcast, you can do so at Las Culturistas, which I co-host with Bowen Yang on the Forever Dog Podcast Network. And we're
One
gonna be
best
doing-
comedy podcast of 2017.
We've been raking in the accolades.
Yes!
No, we're having a great time over there. You will enjoy it. And we're going to be doing lots of live shows coming up. So
Awesome.
yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you again so much. And we are at Who You Were Podcast on Twitter and Instagram. I'm at Patrick Noth on Twitter. I'm at Patrick Noth with a 0 on Instagram.
Wait, when is this coming out?
Sebastian, when is it? When is this first one coming out?
I don't know.
I think this is the
Because-
first one. This is the first one.
Okay,
is the
but
first one. We
I
haven't
want to
decided.
know if we can tell them that you're going to be on my show. This Saturday night.
This
Friday night. Oh, okay.
No, it won't be out by
Well,
then.
guess
No.
what? They'll have done my show, Game Show at Caveat on fucking May 11th, and they'll have slayed it.
Yes, I know. We have to lip sync the song. I need to look at the words because I can't understand what she's saying.
I'm so fucked in that show. Like, there's no way. I'm just.
You're
like,
gonna be great. Lead with positivity.
Oh no! I mean, like, I'll be funny, but
Yeah.
it'll be comic. I'll be comically bad at
and
all
that's
of
what
it.
we want.
Sebastian, where are you? What
Oh,
get your plugs?
I don't have Twitter, and
Yeah, why the fuck not?
because I don't like social media. Remember,
Great.
I told you
I
that?
love it. You learned
Yeah.
everything you needed to.
And I have Instagram. I have 4 pictures on it. You can follow me at Sebastian Canelli. One picture is of my ass, and another one is a repost of that picture of my ass.
Honestly,
don't-
Sebastian,
don't
you don't need
fucking
it.
follow
You
me.
don't need it.
Yeah, I don't need
This
it.
podcast is gonna be a big success.
Oh,
Thanks, Matt.
thank you.
It is.
Thank you. You know what?
I put that in the world.
Dude, you put it out there, and we'll make sure to cut that part from the episode.
Thanks, guys, so much, and join us next week. What do we do, Matt? We do these weekly.
I think you guys are going to be doing this weekly. I think you're going to
Weekly?
release it on a weekday morning of your choice.
Excellent.
And it'll come out every week.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
I'll give you some names of interesting people.
I love that. Yes, we will.
You know lots of interesting people, too. You don't need my fucking help.
No, we
need
do.
your help.
We do.
We want your help. Thanks, guys. Thanks for listening.
All right, bye.
Thank you for listening to Who You Were. Please subscribe, rate, and review. Guest before and after pics on Instagram at Who You Were Podcast. Send your before and after pics to whoyouwerepodcast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter at Who You Were Podcast. This podcast is produced independently. If you'd like to support it, please visit patreon.com/Patrick Noth. Thanks for listening.